Nice to see. We got like 25 people in the meeting. If you can please mute yourself as you join, colleagues. As you join, if you may please mute yourself. There we are. Fantastic. Okay,
Yeah.
colleague.
The number that we're using right now is temporary, right?
Yeah. Colleagues, thanks for joining the meeting. If you join, please may I ask you to mute your mic.
Yeah, I
It is
understand that. Working on that. I'm just asking.
Sipo, we can hear your order. Cool. Okay, colleagues, we're gonna just wait. We've got, I think, we've got about 20. I'm just looking at the numbers here. Help me. We have about 28 people in this class. We're expecting just under 40 for today's session. And we're going to kick off in 2 minutes' time. Joe McCarthy. Okay. Okay, colleagues, we are about to actually start in 2 minutes' time. We're just waiting for a few more colleagues, and we're going to kick off. Miranda, you're going to help me mute as they come into the meeting. Okay, yes, cool. So we are recording today's session, colleagues. And then post the session, we will actually share the recording. Miranda will download it and put it into YouTube. It takes a few hours, so it doesn't happen immediately. And then we also want to encourage you. Today is, even though we're talking to only 40 businesses or so, this content can be applicable to other businesses. So you're welcome, colleagues, to share what you learn and what you get. And, you know, our approach in developing or engaging with businesses is to make it and to share the love into it as well. Alice, so nice to see you here. Hope you're doing well. Colleagues, we're going to give it 1 more minute. We've got, I think, still the 28. Miranda, will you post in the chat that we're about to start? Yeah. And that so the colleagues are going to actually join. Hey, Joe, are you the same Joe McCarthy that we know of?
Yeah, Kavana.
Hey, Joe. Nice to hear you. You doing well? Cool, fantastic. Colleagues, we are about to start. Let's give it a minute more. We just exceeded the 30. And I'm sure the colleagues should start. So, colleagues, welcome. My name is Akash Singh. I think most of you would have known me. I work for a company called Sigma. And we are recording today's session. So we will make it available. Post the session, I encourage that if you want to go back and reflect. So let's take a few steps back and maybe set the context for today's session. So you would have seen, many of y'all would have been engaged and would have applied, you know, to be part of some sort of training program over the last month or two. And over the last month or two, we had the opportunity to be able to assess and understand some of your businesses. I think Richard and Neil also got to visit a few of you and engage with you at a little deeper level. And sometimes I know that it was a collective touch point, whether it was breakfast or whether it was a beer, you know, at the AHA Hotel and into it. But throughout that journey, we realized, you know, the realities of where you are in the difficult circumstances. We also realized that, you know, having a plan to navigate out of this difficulty, but not only in difficulty, it's always important to have that plan in advance, you know, to plan for eventuality. So during this journey, we really realized, and, you know, that every business should have this plan. And this plan, you know, in not so many words, is meant to be a strategy. And how do you go about navigating your businesses and going forward, colleagues, whatever the circumstance, even if things get really better and you know, the iron price goes out of the roof and there's a lot of activity and you still need to not put all your eggs in one basket. You know, you still need to make sure you plan for every eventuality in terms of scenario planning. So the conversation has been created, and I know in coming weeks and months, some of you are actually going to develop your own plans. So we thought it's important to plant the seed. And we know some of you all are astute business people, run really big organizations. You might know this, but here's an opportunity with all 30, 40 of us together to be able, to have a conversation around it. And colleagues, today we want this to be truly engaging. So not only do we want to ask questions, in today's session, we also want you to share your experience, into it as well, and the realities, that you are going through. But also, many of you have experiences of what worked and what worked really well. So I encourage you not only to ask the questions, and the questions can be asked on this chat, and you could also support it. The entire team, including our guest speaker, is on the WhatsApp chat. So you can ask on this chat and you can ask on the WhatsApp chat. And then, colleagues, just to make it really, really, really engaging, so what we want to do is to make sure that we get you involved and in a purposeful, in a mindful way. And, this session is curated for you. No one else has access to it. It's exclusively meant for you. And before I introduce the coach, so let's make it really, truly engaged. So we'll make it, Shmanta, I think we'll make it compelling. We'll give something really, what we see also these businesses way. So maybe the best sets of questions, Shmanta, you could be the judge with the team. We'll give one tablet. And for the most engaging, business, whether it's sharing an experience, so we'll give an entry-level laptop, because most of these businesses will need a laptop. So maybe you with Neil and Richard, I think it'll be nice to keep an eye for, as we take this conversation for the next 82 minutes, like who do we believe best deserves that prize? And colleagues, you have to get the prize if you're in the meeting. You can't get the prize if you're listening to the recording, as such too. So colleagues, welcome. I'm very excited. And I created the context about why the context into it. But more excitingly, we went and found an external coach. We went and found a strategy specialist that not only, to give us an outside perspective, but also I think, to have somebody different to engage and talk to you. So today I'm very, very, very proud to introduce Sanjay Soni. He'll give you a little bit about his background and his experience. So we've curated this particular session. So the handout that we got is based on some of the key pulse points that we've identified in the assessment process that, Sanjay has curated into it. The presentation that he's going through is meant to talk through some of those particular points. So we're very, very excited. We're looking forward to today's session. And Sanjay, we hand it over to you. I'll be in the background. Marinda, Shmanta, Neil, and Richard are all here. But before I just hand over to you, I don't know if there's any additional comments from the team. Shmanta, Richard, Neil?
Thanks, Akash. No, just looking forward to the session. Hopefully it's going to be an interactive one. And yeah, hopefully you've had a chance to look at the handouts, and please use this opportunity to ask any burning questions you may have. Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks so much, Akash.
Cool, fantastic. Richard?
Yeah, thanks. All good, Akash. Really nice to see all the colleagues here. Looking forward to the participation. Thank you.
Yeah, but Richard, you can't win the laptop. Like no one from the Sigma team can, and including the coach, can't win the laptop. Neil?
Why not? I'm gonna leave the meeting now because I was hoping I would get that tablet. Thanks, Akash. Yeah, no, wonderful to have Sanjay presenting to us today. He's an excellent speaker, and he really knows the subject matter very well. So it's really a perfect opportunity for everyone to really, brainstorm with him today if we can, as much as possible, and ask as many questions, or even, whatever. Sometimes you may think your question is silly or, not appropriate, but in this case, please, the simplest of questions will be entertained, and we're here to help you. We understand that many of you are not so familiar with strategy and development of strategy and how the process works and how it would be implemented. But Sanjay is going to take us through all of that now in as basic form as possible. And if it's getting a bit too hectic, then you please just let us know as we go along. But thanks guys.
Okay, fantastic. Marinda, anything else from you?
Nothing for me, Akash. Thanks so much.
Cool, excellent. Sanjay, over to you. As promised, there's 40 people in the meeting,
Sure.
and all of us will be around as you go, and we'll also add minus into it. So welcome, and the floor is over to you.
Akash and team, firstly, thank you very much for having me here this morning. A very good morning to everybody. I'm calling in from Johannesburg. It's a rather cool morning today, unlike Joburg weather this time of the year. So really a very warm welcome to everybody. Not sure where everybody is, but super excited to be here this morning. Hopefully you've had a chance to read some of the material that was shared with you earlier this week. So let me take you through the plan for this morning, and then I'll get into the slide presentation. So it's 12 minutes past 11. If I can ask you, Samantha, keep me honest at 11:45 or 20 to 12, just give me a 5-minute sounder so that I can start to try and round up. The plan today is to work through this presentation in the next 30 or so minutes, but the remaining 45 minutes is really meant for you to ask us questions. And it's not only asking me a question, asking everybody a question. So we're looking for 3 things. Ask any questions, put out any experience shares. I think it's really important when you share your experience of what's working well, and similarly things that are not working well, because there's somebody else in the room that can help you. So that's the second thing. And the third thing is you're going to get access to lots of information and some tools. Work out those tools and what information is appropriate for you based on where you are in your business. There is a few more tools that you would actually need right now, but the intention is not for you to utilize all the tools. Utilize those tools that are most relevant for you where you are right now. So I'm just going to put up the presentation, and just let me know if this is in presentation mode. Sounds good. Perfect. So today we're going to start to spend the next half an hour talking to you around elements of strategy to help you plan for your business from 2 perspectives. If you're going through a tough time, how do you think about strategy? And also to help you think about growing your business. So even though you may be in a time where business is not the best, you got to think forward in terms of how can I improve my business so that I can start to grow my business. So I want to demystify this whole aspect around strategy. Big words. In my mind, simply put, it's a plan that you have for your business to stabilize and grow your business. It's your plan. And so what we're going to do today is share a whole bunch of tools and the like. So I'm going to briefly introduce myself. I'm a chartered accountant by training. I have been an entrepreneur for the last close on 25 years. I've been involved in over 14 startup enterprises. 9 of them have failed. And the reason I share that with you is that not every business you get involved in is going to succeed. And failure is different to everybody else. But for me, the biggest thing that I've taken out is in each venture that I've been involved in, what can I learn to make the next business better? Or within that business, what can I learn to make that business better? So that's just a bit about myself. And today is really not about myself. I'm here to share some information with you. I've just put up the agenda slide. You'll see there's lots of stuff. And this is really based on the handout that we had shared with you. So if you've had the chance to read the handout, a lot of what we're going to discuss this morning, you would have seen semblances of that over the last 2 days. So we're going to cover all of that. As I said, the bulk of the session is really around the Q&A, which is your session. I'm going to start off with this slide. And as you can see, it's really a roadmap, your journey in your road. So every time you have a challenge in your business and business is going well, right at the top, you will see the star-like image. And the intention behind this slide is to say, continuously remind yourself of what is your North Star. If you're ever lost in the desert, what's the one thing you would look forward to? You would try and find north because it gives you a sense of direction and where you are. Similarly, in your business, you need to work out what is your North Star. What is your guiding light, and what is the reason why you are in business? And what I do personally in my business, at least once a month, I take 15 to 30 minutes reminding myself what is my North Star in my business. So before we get going, and this is really, and so I'm actually going to come off screen now for a slightly different reason. The icebreaker, I thought long and hard as to what type of icebreaker we could ask. So I thought the one way to do is ask everybody to put in some comments into the chat. So my icebreaker question for everybody, including the Sigma team, what has been your biggest learning in the 2024 calendar year? What's been your biggest learning? It doesn't have to be business. It could be business, could be personal. It could be about your kids. It could be about your extended family. What has been your biggest learning this year? If I can ask you all to get into the chat, I'm sure you'd used Teams before. Get into the chat, a couple of words, a sentence or two. I'm going to read out a few of them just to get a sense of where people's headspace is. What's been your biggest learning for this current year? And as some of these are coming through, I'm going to start reading them out a bit slowly. Never put all eggs in one basket. Well said, Alice. We're going to touch a bit on that today. And it's around how do you diversify your business? So we're going to touch a bit about that. Akash, it's important to listen. You know, often enough as human beings, as people are talking, we tend to form conclusions. Or even if we are reading emails, and we have to remind ourselves, listen, then you can answer, read before you can respond. The art of balancing, Samantha, beautiful. I have to share this with everybody. I have very good work-life balance, and I'm very proud of it. So let me tell you what I do every day. The first 2 hours of every morning is dedicated to myself and my wife. I either go to the gym, I go for a walk, I go for a run, I sit in silence. I only get onto my technology after 8 o'clock. So I give myself what I call me time. And as an owner entrepreneur, that's vitally important. Lots of comments coming, so I'm losing a bit of track of this. Never take anything for granted, whether it's work or your health. Well said, Richard. We only have one life. We only have our one health as we have it. You can't take that for granted. Change is constant. That's Team Will Tech. Quite right. I'm going to use the exchange rate by way of example. If the exchange rate was 17.45, you said, I hope it's close enough. Today, it may be 17.57, right? Think about the weather. Johannesburg yesterday was blazing hot. Today, it's cool and overcast. So anticipate that change is a constant part of our daily lives. I have learned that we learn every day. Cello, well said. And that's so important, you know, having this learning mindset. For me, my best wish for all of you today, if you take only one thing out today, my job's done. Truthfully, that's my job. Look to take just one thing out. Life is unpredictable. As much as we plan, there's no foolproof plan. Pumza, absolutely. And today we're going to talk about the importance of planning and the importance of monitoring your plan as you're executing that. Do not tell anyone what is your next step in life or business. Interesting comment, Godfrey, and I will come back to you on that. A man becomes a slave to anything he can't walk away from. Corey, yeah, absolutely interesting. Unfortunately, we are all slaves to our own business, right? It's our passion, it's our baby, it's our drive. How do we de-link ourselves from the business? And for me, one of the ways I found to do that is creating my own me time. The business environment can change at any time. One needs to strive to be always a step ahead. And that's the importance of planning, right? The importance of planning helps us think, what's today, what's tomorrow. I guess when I did my training as a CA, it was ingrained in me, think 4 or 5 steps ahead, right? Work out the permutations. And so in business, you need to think about that as well. Gonna go with one last comment, and not that anybody's comments are not valuable. I know I'm getting run out of time. Change is inevitable. Healthy competition is good for business. Absolutely. Healthy competition is so great for business because it keeps you on your toes constantly. You don't take anything for granted. Okay. Thanks everybody for your comments. Keep putting them through. I'm going to get back onto the presentation. We good on the presentation? Yep. Okay. Why do you need a strategy plan? And so I think we've covered a bit of this as part of this check-in, or the icebreaker, if I call it. It allows us to stay focused. That's a very important thing. Having a plan means that you have something to strive towards, and you dodge those distractions that come your way, right? You can't be everything to everybody. Limited resources. Any business, no matter how big, small, or otherwise your business is, there's only so much of resources that you have. Time, money, and people are always limited. You would never have an abundance of any of that. One of the key things around your planning is how do you use those resources effectively to get a result in your business? Track progress. What the plan helps you do is to say, this is where I'm aspiring to go. And as you're journeying along, what are those things you need to fix, change? We use this word pivot. Pivot means I'm doing something different and keep moving. I'm using a very simple analogy. If I decide tomorrow morning I'm going from Johannesburg to Durban by car, I have to plan that. So if I think the journey is going to take me 6 hours, as I'm journeying along, I need to track the progress. If I make a pit stop, what does it do to my time? So on and so on and so on. So those are the things. And then the last thing is staying accountable to yourself. As an owner in the business, you're also accountable to yourself. And what this does is that it allows you to increase your own likelihood of achieving against your plan. So these are some of the key things why you need to start thinking about putting a plan in place. So all of us have heard this big thing called strategy, big word. But on this slide, I've tried to simplify this as best as I can, which is saying it's about having a plan, putting in new ideas, having a goal, thinking about innovation, business performance, improvements, and the like. In simple terms, and I've said this before, strategy is a plan to maintain and grow your business over a period of time. I'm going to briefly touch on the strategy planning process. First, so I put on 5 steps over here, and just to run through these things reasonably quickly. Define your vision and mission. I'm going to spend a bit of time on vision and mission because this sets you up for success in your business. Second thing is set clear business objectives. So I want to remind everybody, your business objectives are applicable to you in your business. They're not applicable to Akash in his business. That's the first thing. And secondly, be clear. We've got a tool that we're going to get to, which allows you to be very specific around the goals and objectives that you're going to have in your business. Third thing is look at the environment. When you look at the environment, look internally, which is your business, and also look externally, which is the market. And we've got a tool called a SWOT analysis, and I'm going to take you through that. Strengths, weaknesses, which are internal, and then opportunities and threats, which are external. The fourth thing is define your competitive advantage. Now, let me tell you why it's important. The fact that you have a business and that people are paying you for your product or service means you have an element of competitive advantage. So be very clear what it is. And sometimes it's not one thing. It could be a combination of a few things. As an example, customer service, professionalism. So in terms of the projects you work on, you deliver on time, it's at the right quality, so on and so on. One of the things I would strongly encourage everybody to do is to take a step back and work out what are those things that your customers really love about you and your business. And that starts to speak to your competitive advantage. And then the last thing as part of the planning process is for you to put a strategy in place. We've got a tool, and in simplified terms, you are able to put in place a plan for your business on a single page. And so that's what the tool that we will share with you will allow you to do. Just going to pause here for 1 second. If anybody's got a question, you can either put it in the chat, Mirinda, you can let me know, or you can just unmute yourself.
So maybe, yeah, let's just pause for a vision. Let's just go around the class. It'll be great now. And don't worry, if you finish after quarter two, Sanjay will still pay you.
No, I'm not worried about that.
But only like very shortly after quarter two. So colleagues, maybe just recap. I mean, it's very simple so much, you know what Sanjay is saying. It's simple. You got to look for your North Star. And strategy is very much a plan. And you gotta take, I know you're the business owner. I know you own the business and everything belongs to you, but you still have to take stock like a report card, you know, as a school giver. In school, when we're young, we take stock every quarter, you know, to make sure how we're doing, and going back and what does mom and dad need to do to change? And the same applies to your business. What do we need to do into it as well? So any comments, any shares that the colleagues have in the class, maybe just put your hand up, or you're welcome that you want to even just type it in the chat. We'll give you 30 seconds before we continue. Anyone wants to add? Anyone wants to ask any questions? Anyone wants to share from it as well? Fantastic, Gladwin. I can see yours. Then I can see Richard. Let's do Gladwin first. Gladwin, go for it. Unmute and just talk, please. Maybe we can just drop the screen for 1 minute, Sanjay, and we'll come back to it. The vision, mission. Yeah, go for it. Gladwin?
Good morning, everybody.
Hi.
I just like to not ask, but it's actually a comment I want to make.
Mm-hmm.
When we start our businesses, we have this vision and mission in our business. But for me, I see it is for every job that you are doing, there's a vision and a mission. It is the only comment I want to make.
Yeah, love it. I'm sure Sanjay.
So I don't know how you guys feel about it, but if we can collaborate on that more, I will really appreciate it. Thank you.
Fantastic. Sanjay, I'll head to you and then I'll comment after you. Go for it. I don't know if you want to comment to that.
Gladwin, I think that's such a great point, right? Because each project is part of your business. And if you have a vision and mission for that project, it means it keeps you very focused with what you want to achieve in that project. I'm putting this box around because the project is sort of in a box, right? When you finish that, you move on to the next project. But I actually love that because you're now then simplifying the way you're treating your client and you're executing on the actual job specific to that client. Love it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well said.
Couldn't have said it better. Richard, you had your hand up?
Akash, yeah, thanks. Just 2 comments. I think sometimes we get so bogged down and busy in our businesses that we say we don't have time to do a strategy or to plan until it's too late. And I think some of our contractors are maybe in a situation like this today. So I think it's important. Second comment is linked to that. When we develop a strategy, or, don't think a strategy is only for big businesses.
Yeah.
When we develop a strategy, use it. Don't let it just be a document. We worked on it. We developed a business model canvas and we never look at it again. Make it practical and use it.
Yeah, it's so important. Richard, you see that, you see that so common. And colleagues, we're going for 21 years as an organization, and Sigma every year sees about 3,000 businesses. We support 300 of them. But in that conversation, we see many of what Richard is talking about, running fast. The only problem is sometimes you're running on the same spot, as a so I think, and one of the things that's pulled you out of making sure that you're taking stock and whether you're running fast forward or on spot is having a plan or a strategy. And I can't tell you how important, and it applies to every business, whether you make sales of 100,000 or if you have sales of 50, 100 million into it. Yeah, well said, Richard. I'm sure you agree, right, Sanjay?
100%. Absolutely.
Cool. Colleagues, we'll take one more questions. We can see Alice's, comments in the chat, but we'll go for Team Woltech. Go for it. Maybe just introduce your name as well as you come and which business you're from.
Hi guys, yes, Team Woltech. My name is Wilfred Goliath. I actually want to add to Gladwin's, and not just for the project, but as we start our businesses, we've got a vision. we've got the mission, and the goalposts change along the way. Is it then healthy to even have a relook at your mission and vision so you be clear where you're heading, where you're going with your business, and if it must change, then to change your vision as well as your mission?
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. This is a too hard question, Sanjay. I'll give it to you.
Great question. And the short answer to that is, as your business changes and evolves, you need to revisit your vision and mission, right? And if that means changing what you've had for the last year, 2 years, 5 years, because your circumstances have changed, the market has changed, the opportunities have changed, so be it. Because if you think about it, and we're going to get into that in the next 2 slides, is your vision is aspirationally where you see yourself over the next couple of years, right? Now, if you look back in your business, 3 years ago, and if you looked forward 3 years, you thought you're going to be at a particular point. Now that you are here 3 years later, that point is different. Could be better, hopefully, may not be as good. Which means that when you had that plan 3 years ago, where you thought you're going to be was not exactly where you ended up because of many things, most of which are not necessarily in your control. So revising your vision and mission, I think is appropriate. And the word I'm using very deliberately here is revision, review, as opposed to let's just change because I've got a new business. Because what you may have had historically, you may still be able to incorporate some of that into your refreshed vision. But aspirationally, the comment you're making is 100% right. There is a periodic time where you have to review your vision and mission in your business.
Okay, fantastic. Colleagues, we're going to just hop on while he calls up the slides, but I just want to add a last closing remark before he calls up the slides. Colleagues, you have to own your vision and you need to feel it as well. So do not think you can outsource it to the person that's writing your profile. And we see this all the time in the 3,000 members, where somebody general writes your vision, mission, and it's so generic, and it's the same thing you find in the other companies. But own it, feel it. And I think that's important. You need to resonate with that vision for now. And if it's going to change, as Sanjay, the coach, is saying, then yeah, you can review and update it. Sorry, over to you. Go for it, Sanjay.
Okay, so I'm going to simplify this vision and mission thing is vision, what's your dream for the future? As simple as that. And I would not look much beyond 5 years. And I'll tell you why. I did my articles in the 90s. And that time, everybody say when you're planning, plan for 10 years. The world's moved on, right? If you plan for 10 years, you're going to get lost. Plan for the next 3 to 5 years because economies change, market changes, opportunities change. So what's your vision? Simply put, your dream for the future. What is your mission? Is those activities that you're going to do every single day to get to that future. That's a simplified way to think about vision and mission. So I've taken the liberty of doing 2 things, and you would have seen this. Guess you would have seen this in the slide presentation. I've put out the vision and mission statements for 2 well-known South African brands, right? I don't have a personal affinity to either of these. These just sort of were 2 that I felt were appropriate. On the left is FNB. Their vision is to be a great business helping to create a better world. And the mission is to help our customers achieve economic success and financial security by building enduring, mutually beneficial relationships based on trust and integrity. Now you can see both the statements talk together. Woolworths, to be one of the world's most responsible retailers, and the mission, adding quality to life. When you're thinking about your vision and mission, get onto the internet. Use Google, use ChatGPT to give you some ideas. But I just want to go back to the point that Akash made, vitally important. You got to own your vision and mission in your business. You have to own it. Don't get somebody else to write it for you. Somebody else writes it for you, it's not yours. Okay. I'm going to work through some of these slides a bit quickly. There is a lot more narrative in the document that we shared with you. So perhaps before I do that, we've got something called a SWOT analysis, which is the tool that you should utilize. And I would suggest you utilize your SWOT analysis at least every 6 months. Just gives you a perspective of where things are. So the top 2 blocks are internally focused, you looking at your business, inward looking. What are those strengths, which is, in terms of the resources, what are your advantages, what are those things that are working well? And then the weaknesses. What abilities are you lacking? Where are you struggling? How can you possibly overcome this? It's equally important to have this external view. An external view does two things. It presents you a set of opportunities, which is what might most value our strengths. Could be customers, could be customer segments. What's happening in the marketplace in terms of trends and how could those work in your favor? And what wins are within your reach? And then the threats are, what are those headwinds? What are those obstacles that you are seeing in your business? Externally focus about the challenge and what could go wrong. So your strengths and opportunities help you think about growing your business. So those are the positive things. The negative, not so much negative, it's things that you need to be aware of so you can defend what you have. So this is a really simple tool. It'll take you anything between 45 minutes to 2 hours to have a good stab at this.
Yeah. So maybe just to as a good example, and colleagues, I don't mean to be picking on something that's painful, and while you give Sanjay a chance to drink his water, threats is where y'all are, many of y'all are at the moment with what's happening in, with Kolomela and Shishan mines in Northern Cape. You know that there's been a restructure, you know that there's been a reduction in business, the commodity prices, and many of y'all have been impacted, whether it's complete cancellation, whether it's reduction, and. So that is typically an outside, that's the threat. And those are the kinds of things that, that we need to put onto this, but also other things like, the inflation, it's high interest rate environment, and because if you're buying equipment. Cool. Back to you, Sanjay.
Okay. So I just want to touch a bit around the goal setting aspect, and you will see this is like future gazing, right? What are those goals that you want to have in your business? So what we've got for you is a second tool, which is a framework to help you put your goals in place. And we call it the SMART framework. And I'm going to bring all 5 up so you can see all of them at one go, right? So the SMART framework is specific. It's got to be measurable. It's something that you can reasonably and realistically attain. It's got to be relevant for you in your business where you are. And it's got to be timely. So I'm going to use a practical example, right? So assuming I want to go, again, this thing about I want to go from Joburg to Durban. So the specific part is I want to go from Johannesburg to Durban. The measurable part is I know exactly where I'm going and I have an indication of the time that it'll take me. Attainable, to the extent that I have a working car, I will be able to get to Durban. Is it relevant for me where I am right now? I have a choice. I can either take my car or I can take an aeroplane. And timely, I've put 2 things around the time. I want to go tomorrow and it'll take me 6 hours. And I just use that by way of very simple example. When you are looking at your goals, and your goals extend to various parts of your business, in terms of customer retention, in terms of growing your revenue, in terms of managing your costs, whatever else they may be, the SMART framework allows you to set your goals very deliberately and simplistically so that you can monitor and you can execute on them. Okay. Touch very briefly on this aspect around growth strategy. 2 things. Why do you need a growth strategy? You need to be relevant to the customers and the customer segments that you focus on. Secondly, to allow you to grow your market share. So when you talk about strategy and plan, why having this plan in place is important? For most of you, it's about maintaining where you are and the position that you currently have. And then secondly, are there opportunities that we can think about growing our market share? Okay. We've shared this strategic planning tool with you briefly, and in the document that I've shared, I've listed the 9 segments to this plan, and I'll briefly describe this. in a specific order. And the reason we suggest you complete this one-page plan is there's an order in which you should complete all of these things. So when you go back and read the material that was shared, you will see the business model canvas. Simply put, it is a tool to help you put a plan for your business in a single page. The simplest way I can describe it. It's a very widely used tool, and it's something that will take you a bit of time to put together. Don't rush this exercise. It's going to take you on average 3 to 5 days to put it together, and not 3 to 5 full days. Over a week, you spend an hour or two every day, you'll be able to get this thing done. So what are the things you need to think about? The customer segments that you focus. Here, I want you to have two lenses. The current customer segment, and are there other customer segments that you can go into based on your skills, expertise, knowledge, and know-how? So have two lenses on that. Second thing, we've spoken a bit about that as part of your vision and what are those key things that make your business work. What is your value proposition? Why do your customers continuously engage you with the products and services, whatever those things may be? The third aspect is, how do you reach your customers, which is your channels? One of the things that people underplay is this whole aspect around customer relationship and customer relationship management. And here you want to think about, how do you maintain relationships with your customers? Are you emailing them once a week? Are you having a phone call with them once a month? Are you meeting them for a coffee once a quarter? Whatever that may be. In any business, you should be engaging with your customers at least monthly, and where appropriate, more frequently. The fifth element deals with revenue. Where do you derive your revenue? And so the one thing you want to challenge yourself when you're completing this is, don't only look at where you currently derive revenue. Consider the asset base and the resources you have, and could you be deriving revenue from additional sources? And we'll talk a bit about collaborations and partnerships just now. Key activities, what are those activities that you have in your business to allow you to deliver on your value proposition? Resources, and here it's in two broad categories. Number one, the physical stuff, which is equipment, machinery, buildings, whatever the case may be, cash and the like. It's the non-cash stuff, which is your people, your know-how, your knowledge, your expertise, your reputation for being in business for a period of time. Fun fact, most businesses, over 90% of businesses that start fail in year one, and those that remain, another 60% fail by year two. If you've gone beyond year two, which I understand all of you are in that phase, it means you've withheld a number of storms and you are still in business. Key partners. Who are those people that you engage with regularly? And partners could include your customers, your suppliers, your financing partners, people like Sigma who are here to support you. Those are your strategic partners. And then the last aspect is to think about the cost structures. So this tool is going to allow you to think about a single page plan for your business. When we are discussing what is the appropriate tool, the team collectively felt this was the most appropriate tool. It is very widely used, and I strongly encourage. You will get an Excel version of this tool. The one document will tell you what are the things you need to consider, and the second one is a blank canvas where you can start inputting all your information into that. I am cognizant of time, so I'm going to try and work through the next few slides a bit quickly. One of the things that you want to think about, and the question sort of came up a bit early on, scenario planning, forecasting, risk management. I would suggest on at least a quarterly basis, do some scenario planning, which is saying, here's the customers I'm currently servicing, what contracts, what resources do I have? Can I forecast for at least the next 2 quarters to see where we are? Identify those gaps. It gives you the initiative to say, where else can I go and look for additional business? I'm going to introduce a notion called KPIs. key performance indicators. Now, let me tell you why you need to put this in place. It helps you measure your plan after you put your plan in place and as you are executing. I'm only going to focus on two things. Number one, you've got to be very specific about your KPI. So if you say, my revenue is 1,000 Rand now, when I'm putting a plan to say, I want to grow my revenue, it's got to be very deliberately linked to your current revenue, which is saying, I'm currently 1,000 Rand, I want to grow that by 30%, and that's what I'm measuring. So you must be able to measure that appropriately. So that's a key thing. Secondly, don't put tens and hundreds of KPIs. I would put a handful, which keeps you very focused on your business. So on the right-hand side, I've got two terms there, financial and non-financial. When you put in these indicators to help you measure, it's about the revenue and the money aspect, but it's also about the non-financial. And non-financial, as an example, how do I manage and how do I keep retaining my customers and managing my customer relationships? And that could become a KPI. So for me, one of the KPIs I have in my business is monthly, I've got to physically engage with every single customer in person, right? I've got a business partner that sits in Cape Town. Cape Town clients, he meets them once a month. Johannesburg-based clients, I meet them once a month. So that's a non-financial KPI. Shimanta, I know I'm running out of time, so give me another 4 minutes.
Sure, Sanjay.
Okay. I think we're getting close to the end anyways. So after you've thought about your one-page plan and you start implementing it, one of the things you need to think about is, how do I manage the risk in my business? And how do I think about crisis planning? So some of you may feel you're in a crisis mode. So thinking about this is appropriate. You see on the left-hand side, got this element around risk. First thing is, how do you identify your risk? Secondly, you got to assess and measure it. Thirdly, when we talk about mitigation, is how do I try and resolve that risk? And then the fourth thing is, how do I report? And you can see it's a circular thing because risk management is a continuous process. So on the right-hand side, I've given you 3 areas to think about. How do you manage risk? And how do you think about crisis planning? First one is in terms of business continuity planning. So part of the one-page plan that you're going to put together, it's going to have 2 lenses, what you currently have and where you'd like to be. And your business continuity plan starts to talk about where I'd like to be, what are those things that I need to have in place to allow me to get there. Second aspect is in terms of new markets. So a lot of you may feel you're working in the mining communities and those are the only sets of clients. So the challenge I have to everybody is the same. The products and or services that you currently deliver to the mining sector, can those be sold into another segment? Right? So construction and mining is sort of linked. Can you sell that into the construction industry or the engineering industry or other segments? And if you only focus in a certain area, new markets also mean getting out of one province and going into another province. So think about new markets as new opportunities to continue doing what you are currently doing with a new customer or in a new area. And the last aspect I want to touch on is partnerships and collaborations. Often enough, people think partnerships and collaborations diminishes your business. In truth, it strengthens your business. I'm going to use this example, right? Sigma have been running these types of programs for 21 plus years now. Why did they bring me on board? I have a set of experiences. I have a different outlook to the way they are currently looking at the world. And it allows them to partner with somebody that specializes in this to create different value for their customers, being yourselves. So I'm using this particular session by way of example. So that strategic alliance means that Sigma is still talking to their strength, but they're bringing me on board to talk about my strength. And as this combination, we're able to deliver something very different. The second aspect around partnerships and collaborations is this aspect around innovation. If you've got something really innovative that your customers really like, offer that to other people in the market on a subcontracting basis. Similarly, if somebody else has got something really innovative, why not utilize that? And then the third aspect is around networking. One of the roles as a business owner is for you to meet other people, whether you like it or not. I'm an introvert. People actually laugh at me when I tell them I'm an introvert. But what I really enjoy is having conversations with people. Having the conversation does not make me an extrovert. It just means I can have conversations with other people, which I really enjoy. And networking, there's a number of things you want to think about. Business forums. By the way, you've got 35, 40 other businesses on this call. Why not network with each other? Here's a challenge I'm putting out to everybody. Akash and team, maybe it's something you guys want to monitor. How many of you can work with each other to grow your respective businesses? This is not a threat. Big opportunity I'm seeing over here. There are 40 other businesses here. Can you collaborate and work with each other by complementing the service offering that you are taking to market? And this is a very interesting example of that. I've gone into my last slide. Just two thoughts I want to leave you with. Number one, if you have an opportunity, utilize the service of an advisor or mentor. And I'm going to focus on two key things that they're going to bring to you. Number one, they have experiences and expertise different to you, which you can benefit from. And the second thing, equally important, because they're not operationally involved in your business, they give you a very different perspective in terms of how you look at your business. Right? So if you have an opportunity, try and find a business advisor or a mentor. Second thing is review your strategy execution. So as you put your plan in place and as you start executing on the plan, I would suggest three things. Monthly, what are those things you want to monitor? Quarterly, and then annually. And each of these stack up to help you think about how well you are doing or otherwise. Somebody made the comment earlier on. If you review stuff monthly or quarterly, you can course correct that within a shorter period of time. If you only do it once a year, you have to wait 12 months to do something. Which brings us to the end of the presentation. I am going to come off screen and I want to, before I open up the floor for questions, Akash, Neil, Richard, Shamantha, Marinda, I'm going to invite you into the conversation for a few minutes. Richard, let me start with you. Anything you want to add from your side before we get the participants to come in on Q&A?
Yes, Sanjay, thank you so much for the presentation and really making it simple and straightforward to use. I think it was really great and clear. Just a slight additional insight on the business model canvas. Just keep in mind that the right-hand side, the customers, the way you market, the way you interact, that creates revenue. So you want to optimize that. And you don't want only one revenue stream. You would like to have more than one revenue stream. The left-hand side, your resources, your activities, and your partners is your costs. So you want to streamline that. You want to get that down. So if you can keep that in mind when you do the business model canvas, that's really important. And then maybe just another comment is, it's such a practical tool. I remember in COVID, you know, when things changed, like the way you interact with your clients, you couldn't see them, so you had to change. So that actually changed your value proposition. So the tool gives you that flexibility to look at the model and say, okay, things have changed with my customers, with my customer segment, so I need to change my value proposition. So it's really practical. And your last slide, when you're looking at your and evaluating your strategy, you can do it so easily when using the value proposition. I've shared those two spreadsheets, sure, the guiding questions and so on, which will help them to complete it. Thanks, Sanjay.
Thanks, Richard. Neil, I'm going to bring you into the conversation as well.
Thanks, Sanjay. Yeah, no, fantastic. I think you really did excellently in trying to really break it down. You know, the whole concept of strategy and the process itself and the things involved. So well done. I think that was excellent. I'm sure the audience took a lot of things away from it, you know, or will be able to take a lot of things away from it today, especially with the tools. I think Richard covered the, you know, the business model canvas and how important it is as a starting point to really try and get that picture together, which is critically important for your company. You know, we understand that, I think we understand that many companies here, in terms of strategy, are looking for probably more in survival mode than in a growth space, and that's all good, because right now you want to probably get to a point where your first you know, is your first port of call is how to stabilize your business, and then to really then see where you want to be in the future, and then map out the process as Sanjay had you know, had provided. So you know, Sanjay, thanks. Yeah, I think you also emphasized all the practical benefits in terms of day-to-day operations, you know, things like that that would need to be, while those things need to carry on, you know, the planning of the company and how you take the company forward, there needs to be a certain level of effort and management effort into that part of the business that is gonna, you know, ensure the long-term success of the company. So yeah, I think overall, maybe some of this may seem overwhelming to our audience, but as we have broken it down for you now into, you know, actionable steps, I think you know, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can start off very small, simple things, and then you then take it forward in terms of tactical steps and how you can operationalize your strategy and implement it. The implementation side is one of the most important things of strategy development, and you know, so what we do find, Sanjay, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but generally a lot of people can put a lot of nice plans together and business cases and whatever it may be. But when it, you know, when it comes time to actually implementing the actions and tasks associated with it, that's where they stumble and fall apart. So what we've tried to do here is to try and give you those steps, but also give you tools on how to you know, to undertake those actions. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me, Sanjay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Neil, I just want to pick up on your point, you know, and the point that Neil makes is very relevant. So when you're thinking about your one-page plan, don't put lots of things in it because you're going to confuse yourself. You know, put down those most important things that you can start implementing and start seeing results of, right? And then as you get into that rhythm, you start to enhance your plan by putting more things and more things. And in terms of the tool, it's such a great tool in that it's very simple, but the tool is a guide for you what to do. The point that Neil was making is that you still got to do that work. And so part of that process is make it simple enough for yourselves where whatever plan you put in place, you buy into it, you're comfortable, but it also allows you to go and implement the plan. Yeah, so thanks for that, Neil. Shamantha, from your side?
Thanks so much, Sanjay. And yeah, a great session so far. I think I wanted to pick up on the point that you made as a recommendation is on the advisor mentor. I think that is key critical, especially now for the business owners in the room. It can be a very lonely journey, especially, you know, when you feel like you're in crisis mode and you do need a sounding board. So I think as just a low-hanging fruit, you know, the tool that Neil and Richard mentioned, use it, but use this opportunity of engaging them and ourselves as advisors and mentors. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Shamantha. I'm going to bring you in, Mirinda. Anything from your side?
No, nothing from my side, Sanjay. Thank you.
Cool. Akash, I brought you in last. You and I have been having a bit of a conversation. So, Akash, any thoughts from your side?
No. So, colleagues, it's not bad to be in a crisis. I mean, it happens to everyone. And it's just a personal share. 8 years ago, I sat with Shamantha and we lost our biggest client that used to be 80 or 90%. And we sat down and, and Richard, you know who that culprit is that we're talking about. I told you about that we must not be too close to them. But we sat down with a piece of paper. We only had 179,000 Rand of work for 3 months. And the payroll was 500,000 at that time for the Sigma team. But what was critical in getting out of it, so it happens to all of us. So don't feel embarrassed, no matter who you are and whatever it is. But one of the things that helped us get out of it is that we put a plan in place, a simple plan, as Sanjay is telling you. And then we broke that simple plan to make it a little bit more longer and longer and longer. And on that journey, there's one thing that really worked for us. I'm not saying it'll work for everyone, is we built partnerships to be able to do it. And today, colleagues, we have 36 different partners in South Africa and around the world. You got to see one of them the other day. You got to see the PUM Dutch government. We've been working, many, many, many years with them. But in that partnership, as Sanjay says, we're able to bring to you 1,100 technical enablement experts for free, zero, and we've done 800 of those in the last however many years, that we've been operating. So yeah, have a plan. It happens to everyone. Don't put all your eggs in one basket in partnerships, Sanjay. But well done. I think you've done an incredible job. But I think let's just quickly go. We've got 30 minutes to interrogate into, but I think importantly, Joe's asked very specifically in terms of SWOT analysis, how does Porter's 5 forces model improve or complicate the analysis? So what does Porter do? Porter's 5 forces, how does that work? Do we replace the SWOT or do we use Porter's, or is Porter sometimes better suited to certain organizations?
Yeah, great question there. So I guess as part of the lead up to putting the content for this presentation, we had 2 lenses. Number one, we want to make it simple and practical. And number 2, we don't want to give you too many tools, right? And so in addition to the SWOT analysis, you've got things like Porter's 5 forces, and there's a whole range of other things. My simplistic view on these things is that each tool is relevant for where you are in your business and what you're looking to achieve. And I don't think it's one tool or the other. You can use a combination of both or multiple of these things. But when you get into things like Porter's 5 forces, the only caution I would have over here is that you need to understand the methodology behind Porter's 5 forces and what it seeks to achieve before you want to utilize it in your business, right? The tools we've provided today specifically are simple enough for all of you to utilize. When you start getting into other things like Porter's 5 forces, there's another tool which is the balanced scorecard. And the balanced scorecard has been around since the 1980s. It's based on 2 lecturers at Harvard who eventually put out this thing called the balanced scorecard, and it's been part of the Harvard curriculum for the last 30 odd years, as an example. So my answer to this question around Porter's 5 forces, I don't think it's one or the other. You can use multiple of these tools. My caution is the following. You need to assess where you are in your business and which of these tools is more relevant for you as you are talking right now. And as you get more comfortable with this process of putting the plan, implementing, executing, you then can start to incorporate other tools. So that would be my suggestion around things like Porter's 5 forces. I mean, as I said, there's multiple of these tools available.
Yeah.
So
colleagues, I think if you're not sure, like Joe, which is better for you, you got all of us here. Just ask. We'll help you guide and navigate you into, which is better, whether it's Porter, whether it's SWOT, whether it's simplest, based on your type of your business, size of your business, and into so cool. Colleagues, can we just ask now, maybe by show of hands, whoever wants to ask a question, you can also post on the chat. Mirinda, maybe just help me, and Shmanta, help me if there's any questions on the WhatsApp chat as well. I'm keeping an eye for you, but maybe if you can put your hand up if you want to ask a question. Is there any question that, Selo, you going next, but is there anyone that we may have not asked? How do I appoint a mentor? Like, how do I know this is the right person to mentor me? So yeah, that's a fantastic question. I love that. I also want to add in on there. So let's go Selo first. the first part A, you're going to ask you how do you appoint a mentor? How do you choose the right mentor that matches and gels with you? And you can ask your second question, Sarah. Then after that, we'll go to Godfrey. Godfrey, I'm glad you're in the meeting now and you're struggling, and then we'll go to Team Wartech. Okay, Cello, Godfrey,
Okay.
and Team Walker. Go for it, Sarah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Actually, the questions I've asked are both on the comments on the chat, but I'll just ask the second one. What I asked firstly was, what are the common mistakes that companies make when conducting a SWOT analysis, and how can they be avoided?
Oh.
Cello, let me deal with that first. I'm going to state something that's going to sound really obvious. Any of these tools that you utilize, be brutally honest with yourself. And that's the most obvious common mistake, because when you're thinking about whether it's the SWOT or the business model canvas or whatever it is, you've got to be brutally honest with yourself, right? And I call it the good, bad, and the ugly type of situation, right? Because if you're brutally honest with yourself, when you're completing the SWOT, you're going to get a better outcome coming out of the SWOT, right? So I think that's the first most obvious thing. I think that the second, I wouldn't call it a common mistake around the actual SWOT, is having done the SWOT, so what next? It's well and good to have a SWOT on the screen that we have in front of us, 4 quadrants, we've got lots of writing. So what? Doing the SWOT, it's going to sound strange as I'm telling you this, it's actually the easy part. The what to do next with the SWOT is the more challenging piece. So a common mistake is having put down your SWOT. The 2 things I often advise people to do is, after you've put down a SWOT analysis on your business, sense check it with people in your business. Even if you have 1 other employee or 20, go and find a group of people that are in your business and say, look, you've done the SWOT. What do they think? Get their honest feedback, revise, update, and amend. And then the second thing is utilize that SWOT as part of your game plan for your business to grow and evolve your business. So those are the 2 common things that I would often see, is not being honest with yourself when you're completing the SWOT, and then I call it the so what. So what do I do next after I've got the SWOT?
So Sanjay, how fantastic is this? I quickly went into ChatGPT, asked it for the top challenges you have inside, and the first one is what you've just said, and I posted the rest in the chat. It was to say that you've got to be honest into it as well, and I think well done into it. Cool. Salo, have we answered your question?
Yes, but there's a second question.
Okay, about the mentors.
Yes, please.
Fantastic. Sanjay, you want to have a go on that first? The mentors, how do you point it? How do you get one that's somebody that resonates with what you do?
Yeah, so Cello, the way I think about a mentor is that you're getting married to the mentor from a business perspective, right? So you're building a relationship. Think about marriage is about building a relationship, having a long-term relationship with an individual, right? Getting a mentor is no different, but mentor, business, and business advisor. So for me, the 2 or 3 things I think about there is, number 1, do they understand who I am, what I'm doing? Do they understand my business, right? They don't have to be an expert, but they need to understand. Number 2, is it somebody that I can have a robust relationship with from a business perspective? And that is really through an engagement process, right? You would gel with mentors, and you would also not gel with mentors. But the key success out of a mentor relationship is the ability for both individuals to be able to have those honest, robust discussions. And then the third thing, I just want to simplify this. The third thing is that you've got to have the ability to build trust with each other, because a mentorship journey, you're going to go through some tough times. A mentor or an advisor are going to tell you hard truths that you don't like. So if you're going to get offended with that, or that individual, or I guess the way they speak to you, you need to think about that. But the biggest thing for me around this mentor advisor relationship, you're building a relationship with somebody over a period of time.
Oh, fantastic. Godfrey? Yeah, maybe
good morning.
Just introduce yourself, Godfrey.
Sorry?
Maybe introduce yourself and the company.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Good morning. It's Godfrey here from USJ Engineering in Katu. Can you hear me?
Yep, 100.
Yeah, okay. First of all, thanks that we can engage with you, with your team. And what you gave us today was no nice to hear. But practically, we have got some challenges. Or me, I don't know if the other contractors. As you mentioned, first, this thing is for Columella session.
Yeah.
So when some of your team was here in Katu, I gave Richard a brief overview / experience about what happened. But now, we can't enter the mine if you haven't got a valid PO, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, I don't know when I've received the RFQ. It's just in my dreams, I think.
Yeah.
And if they issue an RFQ,
Yeah.
then it's just for a shutdown, a 2 or 3 day. Now, if you haven't got people on your books, like what happened with me, then you must go through that whole process of medicals, inductions and stuff, and that takes you a month or longer to get that people on. And you get an RFQ, say, for 2 or 3 days, a week before the shutdown starts. And of other jobs, we hear nothing. So the problem is how you're going to help us. I think there's other contractors on this meeting as well who've got the same experience like me. How can you help us to enter mines, to enter the mine, to see the end users, like your section engineer, your foremen? You can't go in without a valid PO. And if you got an RFQ, for instance, that was about 6 months ago for a job to be done on a plant, you must go physically in to inspect and see what must you do. So how can you assist us there? Because if you're not, as I said, if you're not having a PO, you can't enter the mine.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that you must look into, please.
Yeah. So we've listened to your question, and so absolutely, we've encouraged you, that the second person that have had this conversation, and we're taking it one-on-one individually to have a conversation and escalating individually through what we're going to try as best. But how we can assist you is beyond that, just Kolomela and Shishin. Our job is to figure out what else can we do. So if there are issues, please drop an individual email like we've done with 2 other cases, and specifically A, B, and C, and we're trying to meet one-on-one and engage one-on-one. So that's the first part of it. But Godfrey, we're also here beyond that. And that's why we're talking about a strategy, that's we're talking about partnerships. And hopefully, when we leave in the next 6 to 8 weeks, we have created some successful linkages that you're not only dealing with Shishin and Kolomela. And I know it sounds idealistic, and I know it's not the closest to what, now that is for you, but we'll do both. So Godfrey, my request to you is drop me, you're writing to me already, you know that. So write me an email, and I will try to get you that one-on-one conversation. But beyond that, you understand what we're trying to do as well. And I encourage you, what else can we do in terms of linkages and get your business outside Kolomela? Godfrey, are you there?
Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Team Voltec, go for it.
Hi, afternoon once again, guys. It's Wilfred again.
Yeah.
Yes, we understand that this is nice, solid, and it gives us opportunity to build on the right foundation going forward, and not just to focus on the mines.
Yeah.
My question is that we're getting now either subsidized from one of the mines for this venture with Sigma. And once this is done, if we as companies decide, you're constantly looking for other opportunities.
Yeah.
And say, for instance, you venture into a different direction. Like for now, we're doing hydraulics. And say, for instance, we want to go into the solar field industry.
Fantastic.
If we approach Sigma, how's that costing and that approach? This is now subsidized or funded. But as an individual, as a company approaching Sigma, And I've seen with Monday's meeting that there's enough expertise and assistance that we can get from Sigma, especially in the solar industry.
Yeah.
If we had to come then to you guys, how's that process and how is it going to work costing towards us as a company?
Fantastic question, Wilfred. So the answer is it's cheap, it's free. So on Monday's one, and we will help you with that application. You have my gentleman's agreement, you have it on record in here as well. So if you want to access a program like what we showed you on Monday, like a pool of 1,100 experts and you qualify, I would close my eyes and help you at no cost. We don't get paid for it. And that program is free, Wilfred. You understand. But over the next, whatever, 8 to 10 weeks, you'll see in the other linkages, we're also trying to identify you with other partner organizations or products and services. Like how you're saying, I'm doing hydraulics, and then I want to move to, solar and into it as well. So going forward, many of the partners that we've got, we've done it strategically in the linkages, so it doesn't cost. But post December and January, we'll still be here. You're welcome to drop us a note. We'll try our best to be able to assist you at zero cost. And we're not in the business to do the work for you. We'll try our best. We might never be successful in every opportunity, but we'll try our best to be able to point you in the right direction. So we're not here to run away at the end of this particular period. Does that answer your question, Wilfred?
Most definitely. And thank you so much, man. Thanks.
Absolutely. Cool. I see, Tebogo, you got your hand up. You can go, but somebody else had their hand up. But I just want to quickly pick up that conversation, Sanjay, on Wilfred's point. Key critical, and to Richard and to Neil, in putting some of the guys' plans together, it's diversifying. So that's why you're going to see in the next 2 or 3 weeks, Shimanta and I are meeting. We're actually meeting a big chemical company this afternoon. We're meeting a big tank company called SBS Tanks. We want them to come into the fireside chat and to see they're looking for local partners for installation. And we're also meeting a big sanitary company called EnviroServe, that we're hoping Brian and his team looks to partner and work with some of your organizations, during this period. But that conversation, Sanjay, and Richard and Neil is top of mind in putting together a plan of strategy. And I think all the colleagues must remember it really, really important. Tebogo, you go first and then Victor. Tebogo?
Thank you. I just wanted to follow up on the point Godfrey was raising, or the question he was asking earlier on about when there is a delay for you to get maybe an order, which then impacts access to the users, or to, if you want to make a follow-up, which in your response, you said you will send him an email or you'll address with him.
No. Tebogo, I asked him to send me his concerns, or specifically that he has, and I will escalate it.
Okay, what I wanted to say is that the response or maybe the assistance that you may be able to grant for access or for the same concern, it definitely affects other people. So if there is a way that you're gonna find on resolving the issue that he raised, all I'm trying to say is that there is an issue that's common to a number of people. So if you may just find 41 emails with the same thing. So
fantastic.
Yes.
Tebogo, if I have 41 emails, absolutely, please send it to me, and that'll be more encouraging. And Tebogo, I'm not here about doing policy and advocacy. I'm here to do my job. My job is to, if there's a concern, escalate it and do it. So what I was encouraging you all, put your individual circumstances. Don't be generic about it, and pop an email to myself or Neil or Richard. I'll put it together and I will raise it in a forum to say, these are the concerns that we've had, raised during this particular journey. And we're not going to forget about the concerns. And you have my commitment. I might not get every single one answered, but I'm definitely going to try. So, Tebogo, the quick answer is write your individual mail, share your A, B, C, D, E, F, and then we'll take all 41 or 20, and we will engage and escalate it. Cool. Colleagues, we had one more person's hand up, and I think they put it down. I can't see who it is. Victor, was it you?
Victor, yes.
Victor, was it you?
Yes, thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yeah. Yes, go for it.
Yes. Yeah, based on the presentation today, yeah, it's so fascinating to learn these such good ideas.
Okay.
And yes, and knowing exactly we want to implement some of the things. We do have plans and strategy in order for us to tackle all our daily duties that we really want to achieve end of the day. Yeah, as similar thing to based on the speakers that passed before me. We have that kind of ideas, but problem on in terms of how do we implement them to a people that will listen and give them a bit of a knowledge or the directions. But the reception of it is difficult to work hand in hand with one of our end users. So it's really difficult to make this plan to materialize in our daily duties. That's
Okay.
typically that. And
Cool.
based on yes, let me
Okay,
stop.
so Victor, just like what I'm saying, colleagues, I've said this, I'm saying this again, escalate your plan, and we're going to try to be able to look at each and every one and all of them collectively. Into it. For now, let's also try to look, in addition to doing that, let's do other things. Let's put different fishing lines into the water strategically. So, but Sigma is here, to help. So I see comments like, hey, if I have an idea and I want to patent it, absolutely, we can guide you through the patent process, and see how far, and we'll be honest, what do you require to the patent process. And we'll even try to go knock on the door if we think it's really compelling for the Department of Science and Technology, which has assistance for funding of applying for patents. So the answer things like, can we help with the patent? Yeah. On the property development side, Godfrey, we'll try. Let's talk about, if you want to talk about the one property that you've escalated before, absolutely. We can pick up the conversation, but it must be built around how does it, strengthen or diversify. But will you help, please, on muting, on how to diversify? So, colleagues, what I am saying from the discussion so far, before we get back to the strategy, and I know this is strategy, actually, diversifying and looking at the opportunities, strengths, weaknesses, the challenges, that you're all experienced that is external to your organization. So all those challenges you said that Godfrey encapsulated and Tobago encapsulated, right to me individually, one-on-one, we'll see how we'll escalate it and meet with the clients and to be able, but write specifically details. Where we're coming out to other opportunities to diversify, whether you think you have a patent, you think you have the best idea, drop Richard O'Neill, and we'll take you through that journey and we'll see how we can assist you, even to try to look at finding that particular funding from whether it's the Department of Science and Technology or whether it falls under people like, if you've got something innovative, it falls with SAB Foundation. Last week I was with Bridget, the CEO. They have social innovation funding for patents and into it. And I know it's real because 15 years ago, Shmanta and I got 1 million rand for writing a piece of ICT called Know Your Child, where you send an SMS to mom and dad before WhatsApp on the homework. So we are here to actually be able to assist. And Godfrey, what you're talking specifically, besides trying to, make awareness of your property, if you've got to drop me a specific need, and then we'll see how we'll be able to assist you. Colleagues, we have 5 more minutes. We're willing to go for another 5 or 10 minutes more. But coming back to the topic around all pain points, and I'm not running away from the pain points. It's about, talking about the threats to your business. And we mentioned specifically how we're going to try to set it. So those are threats. Also, we're looking at some of the conversational part about, looking at what people are talking about. How do you diversify? Can I use a patent? Can I, develop a property which the business owns? So that diversification element is important. Are there any other questions, comments? And a conversation does not end today. We have the WhatsApp chat that you can ask more on strategy. Stephen, we'll get to you right now. We can have you can drop an email to all of us. We've added Sanjay on the chat for the next 10 days so we can keep this actual conversation real. Stephen, over to you. Hi, Stephen. You want to just unmute and then talk? Are you there, Stephen?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Thanks, Akash.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. And my name is Stephen Sihularo. The company is SR Zone Construction and Maintenance in Katu. Thanks to Sanjay for the presentation, and it was thought-provoking, and it's easy to follow as well, and it gives us a lot to think about. So I have a question regarding the SWOT analysis, and what I wanted to check is, because sometimes one is familiar with the concept and has been for a very long time, but what I'm always wondering is whether in the process of doing the SWOT analysis itself, am I including everything? Am I considering everything? Is there nothing that I'm leaving out? So in terms of, for example, there would be with a smart framework.
Yeah.
You know, the first item S would have guidelines like your 5 W's.
Yeah.
So similarly, one can. I know there are questions that key questions that one can ask in formulating the or doing the SWOT analysis.
Fantastic.
But now, is there a way of categorizing this in a manner that you would say, for example, under compliance, then this is then what I would look at. Under this section, this is what I would look at.
Yeah.
So that in the end, you know that you have tried to be as inclusive as possible, not leaving any stone unturned. So
Fantastic.
basically, that's what I wanted to know regarding the SWOT analysis itself.
Okay, so fantastic. I'm going to just maybe give Sanjay the opportunity first to very briefly. Colleagues, we're just going to roll over for another 5 to 7 minutes, if it's okay with everyone. So maybe quickly, Sanjay, we might be able to take another quick question.
Sure.
After that. Go for it.
Stephen, thanks for your question. So I would have 2 lenses on this. I think the first lens is, as you're completing the SWOT analysis, put everything down, right? So if you've got 20 strengths and so on, whatever the case may be. If you find that you have a lot, you then want to go and rank them, which is like, which has the highest priority, which is medium, which is low. Because I'm going to use threats by way of example, right? Assuming you've identified 10 threats, right? Practically, you can't deal with every single thing over a 3-month period or a 6-month period. Some of those you may have to delay for a bit later on in life. So upfront, put down as much as you want to, and then if you've got too many, rank them, right? And the simple tool that we use, which is not part of the presentation, green, yellow, red. Green means I don't need to do anything about it. Yellow means, okay, it's a bit of a challenge, but not immediate. Red means this is a real burning issue, whatever the case may be. But that then helps you focus your mind to say, if I've got 10 threats, which are those ones that are, in my mind, more important, more urgent, and what do I need to think about those specifically in the short term? And then as you review that monthly, you look and say, if I've dealt with 2 threats, I've got a plan around those 2 threats, what's next on the agenda? What's next on the agenda? Come back to a point that Neil had made earlier on. You want to keep this simple enough so that you are in control of your plan as opposed to your plan being in control of you. You want to control the plan. But the way you control the plan is keep things as simple enough as you can. Put everything down, rank them, and then deal with those in a systematic way.
Okay, fantastic. So, colleagues, I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to ask the team to quickly put a checklist and a preparation notes, for you, for the whole team. Everyone gets that. We'll share it on the chat and, as such. So it's something generic. And what they can quickly put together and share as well, Stephen. Stephen, thank you so much for the question. Miranda, you're going to add the one other person in. I see that you got your how important is partnerships? Very, very important. Joe, it is so important. I'm reading from the WhatsApp is that we're creating a special session like this on leadership and partnerships. Shemantha and I were talking about it. So it's not the next one, it's the one after that, if I'm not mistaken, just to talk about partnerships and talk about leadership into it as well. I mean, the part about the new venture creation, I'm looking at it, is very, very much around yeah, we can advise, but I think first you need to start. If you're doing something new venture creation, start with a business model canvas on that idea and see how you map it out, such. But you can reach out, Joe, if you have a new venture creation idea or something new. Sanjay, over to you.
Akash, I just want to jump in on this aspect around partnerships and collaboration. So in one of the businesses I'm involved in, which is a strategy consulting business, we get 30 to 40% of our work through partnerships and collaborations. So we have collaborated, not a partnership, it's a collaboration with two of the law firms, where certain work that we specialize in, which they don't specialize, they refer that work to us. 30 to 40% of our work comes from that. But let me tell you the key around that. We did two things. We delivered some work for them and we delivered it well. But the more important part was not the work delivery. Maintaining the relationship and keeping ourselves top of mind with those two law firms. Deliberately, I do two things. Once a month, I have a call with the partner. Once a quarter, I meet them in person. 30 to 40% of our work comes from these two law firms.
Fantastic. I just also want to give the guys a trick as well. In addition, we also work hard on partnerships, but our igniter is not only being top of mind as what Sanjay is saying. In some of our partner organizations, each of our team, we volunteer 8 to 10 hours for free every month. Free. We don't get paid. It's not only about want. So we have certain ones. So let me share with you all confidentially. I personally volunteer about 10 hours a month, me, to SAICA. But it's a partner ecosystem that we have that it allows you access to 54,000 CAs across the globe, 14,000 abroad and 40,000 in South Africa. So I think that's the great initiative. Colleagues, I'm going to kind of close this session now. I don't know, maybe just very briefly, 30 seconds, Sanjay, if there's any concluding remarks from yourself. And then Shemantha, please think quickly about who do you think was the most engaging in today's session? So
Already done.
Fantastic. And also, but let's start first, maybe, Shemantha, who is the best questions that came from? We can give the tablet. And the second one is the entry-level laptop. And I think my challenge to you, Shemantha, is if we can get it to these people before the next masterclass, that they have that in their business. And then they can tell us they have it in their business next week, Wednesday, when we meet. Cool. Closing remarks from you, Sanjay.
Thanks, Akash. Two quick comments, guys. When you're putting your plans together, keep it simple, be realistic. Secondly, keep having fun in your business. I know you may be thinking that you're going through a downtime. Bring the fun element back into the business, because when you're having fun, your business is going to have fun. Your business is going to grow. Your business is going to thrive. Final comment, you have a team of 40 other businesses on this call. My challenge right up front, utilize each other, set up those partnerships and collaborations with this wider team. Thanks, Akash.
Oh, fantastic idea. Colleagues, I see a few numbers to be added. Mirinda is also going to share the slides for today, PDF it and share it. Later, after a few hours, it takes a while to download. You also have the ability to we'll download the recording and into it as well. Cool. So maybe just closing remarks first from Richard and then Neil. Richard?
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I think it was a wonderful session. And as we mentioned during the session, we are available for support. So please don't hesitate to contact us. Thanks a lot, Sanjay. It was great.
Okay, fantastic. Colleagues, we are here on this rodeo between now, next month, and this December. But you have my agreement. We're not running away. If you need help, you can still drop us an email. We'll try our best to see how we can assist you or link you up to partners that we work with or know, or try to find one that it doesn't cost your particular business. We understand the pain. Colleagues, 8 years ago, we were in that same pain as yourself. And we know exactly where you are. Neil, over to you. You're on mute, Neil.
Yeah. Yeah, no, thanks again, Sanjay, for a brilliant presentation and for really demystifying, the strategy. I think it did come across to me, and I'm sure many of the recipients, as they've confirmed, it has come across very well. As Akash mentioned, now we will try and assist people or companies as and where we can. So the process would be to drop us an email or to communicate with us so that we can help you with certain things where we can. And I'm really hoping that many of you as possible take advantage of this opportunity while we are still in the program and working with you, during the next couple of months. So yeah, please take advantage of it. Thank you very much for participating today, and wish you all the best.
Cool, fantastic. Shamantha, maybe any closing remarks? Or maybe Verinda, anything else from your side before we go to Shamantha?
No, nothing, Akash. Thanks so much.
Cool, Shamantha, maybe before just some closing remarks first, and then I'll just conclude, and then we'll do the prize giving last as such. Cool, go for it, Shamantha.
Yeah, Akash, I concur. I think Sanjay has done a brilliant job. So thank you so much, Sanjay. In making it simple to understand, and hopefully the colleagues did grasp. And yeah, to the colleagues in the room, thank you so much for being a part of the session. I encourage you to start using, the tools as urgently as possible while it's still fresh in mind in terms of the concepts. And then to just share with Richard, Neil, ourselves, if you need any support, especially in this 3-month journey that we are here to support you on. So yeah, wonderful. I'll hand over back to you, Akash, and maybe Sanjay as well before the prize giving. Thanks.
Yeah. So cool. Colleagues, thank you so much. So if you go back to the chat at 11:18, Sanjay asked, what do you think is the most important lesson that you've learned? And I said in my typing it's important to listen. It's important to listen. So we do understand today it's not only about making you aware about the strategic framework. We know that some of you are going to build strategies and we're going to help you to be able to do it. As Shamantha was saying, we're here to be able to assist, make the most in this 3-month window. Post it, we'll still be able to assist. And you have the agreement that we will try our damnedest to assist, but we're also here to listen. We hear that there's about the noise. Godfrey, you've raised it. Toboko, you've raised it. Right? Please write me one-on-one, and we will start to have that conversation. But our job, in addition to having that conversation, we also now need to say, okay, is that steel company going to be something for you? Is that chemical company going to be something for you? Are we able to write that particular strategy? So we're here to listen, as I've told you, before all of the session actually starts. So I'm very encouraged. Thank you for the participation. Thank you for being here. And I see it's now 8 minutes past later, and 41 of y'all are still here. I know Sanjay has done a fantastic job. Thank you, Sanjay, and for looking after the businesses that we're trying to support. Deeply, deeply grateful. The conversation still continues. Sanjay will be on the slot. Colleagues, we have a WhatsApp linkage plan for next week, Monday. And hopefully we get some of these product companies. And then next Wednesday, we're going to do a masterclass talking about financial management. And more than just doing management accounts, but we'll let you know, set the links up. But maybe just conclude. I'm just deep gratitude to every single one of you all. Thank you for making the time and investing it in your business. Shamantha, over to you. So who would you have chosen to be the best question, I was going to say best question putter in today's audience, and this person for the drum roll to get the tablet for their business delivered. We don't give cash, we'll buy the thing and deliver it, or you can pick it up from Macro or Hi-Fi Corporation, and. Who is that, Shamantha?
Okay, for the tablets, it's going to Team Woltech. I think it's Wolfred, right?
Fantastic. Wolfred, fantastic. Congratulations. You will get that tablet because we know you'll definitely be able to use it for social media and to grow and your business. Well done. Congratulations. Well done, Wolfred. And to the actual entry-level laptop that we can further capitalize the business or use it as well. Who would that?
Okay, so that's going to Cello.
Oh, fantastic, Cello. Well done. Well, put your camera on, Cello and Wilfred. Are you able to do that? Well done. Congratulations. And that laptop will be over to you as well. Are you there, Cello? Are you there, Wilfred? There we are.
Yes, we're here. Thank you so much, guys. Much appreciated.
Fantastic. We'll get it over to you, and hopefully we'll get it to you before next week, Wednesday, when we see you again.
Hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks, hello. Thanks, colleagues. Thanks for taking the time. God bless,
Take
and
care.
we'll chat to you soon. Okay.
Take care.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye.
Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.